You won't be bored in heaven. Discover your eternal purpose. Have you ever sat under a starlit sky and just thought, what comes next? Not just next week, not even next year, but what comes after all of this. We talk about heaven like it's a destination, like you finally arrive there after the long, hard road of life. But then what is it? Just a never-ending church service? Do we sit around on clouds, doing nothing, forever? Let's be honest, for some people, that idea doesn't sound like paradise. It sounds like boredom with a golden gate. But my friend, I want to tell you something today that might just awaken your spirit. Heaven is more real, more active, and more purposeful than you've ever imagined. You see, God didn't create you for nothing. Not here, not there, and not ever. From the very beginning, He designed you with intention, with gifts, with desires, with purpose. And those things don't vanish when you step into eternity. They're fulfilled. They're perfected. They're redeemed somewhere along the way. We've adopted this picture of heaven that doesn't quite line up with Scripture. It's like we think of heaven as a spiritual retirement plan. No more work, no more responsibility, just endless ease. But what if heaven isn't an eternal vacation? What if it's the beginning of everything you were made for today? I want us to go on a journey together, not just of imagination, but of truth. Because the Bible doesn't leave us in the dark. God gave us glimpses, clues, promises of what awaits His children, and it's more than singing, it's more than resting, it's more than existing. You have a role to play. You have a job in glory. You will have responsibilities that are filled with joy, with peace, with power, and with the presence of the one who called you by name. So take a deep breath. Let your heart be open. Because what you do now, how you live, how you serve, how you trust, it echoes into forever. Let's talk about what's coming. Let's talk about heaven. Let's talk about you. Part 1. Heaven is real, and it's not boring. Have you ever heard someone say, heaven is going to be perfect, but probably a little boring? Maybe they don't mean it in a bad way. They just imagine heaven as a place where nothing ever changes, where there's nothing left to do. No deadlines, no pressure, no purpose. And while that might sound peaceful at first, give it a few thousand years, and it might feel empty, like something's missing. Because you and I, we were created to live with purpose, to move, to build, to grow, to serve. Think about it. Even in the very beginning, before sin, before pain, before death, God gave Adam a task. The Garden of Eden wasn't a resort. It was a beautiful, living world, and Adam was given dominion over it, to tend it, to care for it, to name the animals, to partner with God in creation itself. And guess what? That wasn't punishment. That wasn't a curse. That was joy. That was fulfillment. That was the original blueprint, a life of meaning, of movement, of creative purpose, right there in paradise. So if that's how God started it all, why would He abandon that design in eternity? He wouldn't, He hasn't. He's restoring it. Heaven is not a place of lifeless existence. It's not a never-ending nap. It's the revival of everything good God intended from the start. And here's the truth, God's story doesn't end with you escaping this world. It ends with Him redeeming it, making it new, making it whole, and giving you His beloved child a place in that story forever. So no, heaven isn't boring. It's bursting with life, with color, with purpose, with glory. You were made for more than just surviving. You were made for eternal significance. And heaven is where that significance finally gets to bloom, without limits. Part 2. The purpose of work in God's kingdom. Let's go even deeper. Let's talk about something most people overlook, the why behind work. Why did God even design it? We sometimes think work is part of the curse, that it only exists because of sin. But that's not true. Work came before the fall. It was part of the garden, part of the blessing, part of the plan. What changed after sin wasn't that we had to work, but that our work became hard, frustrating, painful, filled with thorns and sweat and exhaustion. But the core of it, the essence of doing something meaningful, that was always good, and always will be. Now picture this. Imagine working without stress. Imagine building something with your hands or your mind and never feeling pressure, never feeling failure, only joy. Imagine creating something, not for money, not for approval, but simply because it brings delight to your soul and glory to your God. That's the kind of work we're headed toward, a kind of holy responsibility, not as a chore, but as a celebration. In heaven, your work will never drain you. It will fill you. It will energize you. It will be perfectly matched to who you are. You won't be competing. You won't be striving. You'll be flourishing, because God didn't just give you talents for this life. He gave you gifts that echo into eternity, and heaven is where they'll finally shine, fully, freely, forever. So if you're wondering whether your life has meaning, whether your time on earth matters, let me tell you this: yes, because every act of faithfulness, every unseen sacrifice, every quiet moment of obedience, it's preparing you for what's coming. You're not just living for this world, you're training for the next one, and the next one is glorious. Part 3. Rewards and Roles. Based on earthly faithfulness, let me ask you something personal. Have you ever felt like what you do here doesn't matter? Like no one sees, no one remembers, no one cares, but God sees, and He remembers. And more than that, He rewards. You see, Jesus didn't just talk about faith. He talked about faithfulness. And over again, He gave us parables to show us what the kingdom of heaven is like. Do you remember the story of the talents? A master gives his servants different amounts of treasure before he leaves. And he tells them, use what I gave you. When he comes back, he doesn't just ask what they believed. He asks what they did. And the ones who were faithful, he says something powerful to them. Well done, good and faithful servant. You were faithful with a few things. I will put you in charge of many things. Enter into the joy of your master. Did you catch that faithfulness here leads to responsibility there? The way we live now, the way we love, serve, give, forgive, it echoes into eternity. Heaven isn't a place where everything is equal in terms of responsibility. It's a kingdom, and in a kingdom, there are roles, there are tasks, there is order, and those roles are assigned by the king based on how we stewarded what he gave us on earth. So maybe you've been quietly caring for your family, praying in the dark, giving when no one sees, loving that difficult person when it's hard, and you've wondered, does any of this matter? Yes, it does. Because in heaven, those little acts of faith become the foundation for eternal responsibility, not as a burden, but as an honor, as a joy. You won't be forgotten. You'll be trusted. You'll be given real authority because you were faithful with the little. So live today like it matters, because one day, the King will say, "Come rule with me." Part 4. What kind of responsibilities will we have? So, what exactly will we be doing in heaven? What kind of responsibilities are waiting for us there? The Bible gives us glimpses, not a full itinerary, but enough to stir our imagination and strengthen our hope. Let's start with this truth: you will serve God. That's not a guess. That's from Revelation. It says clearly His servants will serve Him. But that word serve, it's not the same as being a slave. It's the same word used for temple service, for priestly ministry, for honor. You'll serve the King of Glory, not because you have to, but because it will be your greatest joy. And there's more. The Bible says we'll reign with Christ. What does that mean? It means we'll have authority over what? That's the mystery. Maybe over cities, maybe over realms, maybe even over parts of the new creation we can't begin to imagine. Paul said something wild in 1 Corinthians.
He said, "Do you not know that we will judge angels?" That's not a metaphor. That's a glimpse into something so big, so majestic, we can barely wrap our minds around it. You won't be floating in the clouds. You'll be ruling, reigning, judging, creating, serving, living, thriving. And get this, you'll do it all without fear, without insecurity, without comparison, without pride, because in heaven, every responsibility is rooted in love. Every role is shared in unity. Every task is done in joy. So if you're thinking heaven is just rest, let me tell you the full picture. It's restful purpose. It's peaceful power. It's work, but the kind that fills your soul instead of draining it. You were made for more than escape. You were made for eternal impact, and heaven is where your real mission begins.
Part 5. Your gifts won't be wasted in heaven. Have you ever felt like your gifts don't fit anywhere, like the things you're passionate about? The talents God gave you just don't seem to be fully used in this world. Maybe you're an artist, a builder, a leader, a teacher, or maybe your heart burns with compassion, but life has crowded it out. You wonder, was all this for nothing? But listen to me. God doesn't waste anything. Not your talents, not your struggles, not your passion, not your personality. Everything He placed inside you, it was intentional, it was eternal. And heaven is where those gifts will finally be set free. Think about it. The same God who handcrafted the stars, who shaped your soul before you were even born. Do you really think He'd give you passions and gifts that only matter for 70 years? No. He gave them to you for eternity. Maybe on earth, you didn't get the platform, you didn't get the recognition, you didn't get the chance. But in heaven, you will. Maybe you've always had a heart for healing but never became a doctor. Maybe you love music but never had time to learn the instrument. Maybe you long to lead, but life kept holding you back. In heaven, there's no more holding back, no more what if, no more missed chances. Every gift you carried, every spark of purpose you felt, will be ignited fully, beautifully, eternally. You'll do what you were made for, with no fear of failure, no insecurity, no comparison, just joy. Because in heaven, your gifts won't compete with others. They'll complete the picture, they'll glorify the giver, and you'll finally realize that thing inside you, that longing, that fire. It wasn't just for earth, it was a glimpse of heaven, a whisper of your eternal calling. So don't bury your gifts now. Don't ignore them. Use them. Grow them. Because one day, they'll be shining brighter than you ever dreamed forever. Part 6. Rest in heaven. Doesn't mean doing nothing. Now let's talk about something that brings a lot of comfort. Rest. Yes, there's work in heaven. Yes, there's purpose and responsibility. But don't worry. You will finally rest. Not just physical rest. Not just the kind where your body stops moving. But soul-deep rest. The kind you've longed for your entire life. Let me ask you something. Have you ever been tired, not just in your body, but in your spirit, tired of trying, tired of striving, tired of pretending, tired of fighting battles no one else can see? That kind of tiredness will be gone forever. Because heaven isn't just about doing, it's about being whole, being loved, being at peace, being home. Jesus said, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." And in heaven, that promise is fulfilled completely. No more anxiety, no more deadlines, no more racing thoughts, no more striving to prove your worth. Your value will be settled, your identity secure, your place at the table guaranteed. And from that place of rest, you'll rise to serve, you'll rise to build, you'll rise to worship, but not out of pressure, out of overflow. Heaven is the restoration of balance, of rhythm, of divine harmony. Work will never burn you out again, and rest will never be laced with guilt again. You'll finally understand what it means to delight in the Lord and to let Him delight in you. So if you're weary today, hold on, because the rest your soul longs for, it's real, and it's waiting, just on the other side of forever. Part 7. Relationships, purpose, and eternal joy. Let's talk about one more beautiful truth. Heaven isn't just a place of purpose. It's a place of people, of relationships, of community. And you're not going to be alone. Right now, maybe you felt isolated, misunderstood. Maybe the ones you love the most are already gone. Or maybe you've never really found your place in this world. But in heaven, that ache of loneliness will vanish. You'll be known fully, deeply, completely. And more than that, you'll belong. You'll be surrounded by the redeemed from every nation, every background, every generation, and there will be no division, no envy, no pride, no comparison, just unity, just love, just family. And you'll look into the eyes of people whose lives were touched because of your faithfulness. Maybe people you never even met on earth, a child you sponsored, a stranger you prayed for, a soul you smiled at in their darkest moment. And they'll say, "Thank you. Because of you, I'm here." Heaven is more than golden streets. It's a gathering, a reunion, a celebration of everything love was always meant to be. You'll walk with Abraham, you'll talk with Ruth, you'll sit beside Paul, you'll worship with the angels, and most of all, you'll see Jesus, face to face, and nothing will ever be the same again. So if you felt forgotten, if you've questioned your value, if you've longed for real connection, heaven holds what your heart has been aching for. The joy, the laughter, the closeness, the forever. It's coming, and it's yours. Conclusion: what you do now echoes into forever. So now you know, heaven is not retirement. It's not spiritual boredom. It's not sitting still for eternity. It's the beginning of everything good. It's life with no sorrow, work with no weariness, love with no loss, purpose with no pride. And what you do now, it matters. Because this life, it's not the main event. It's preparation. It's a rehearsal for glory. Every act of obedience, every moment of kindness, every time you say, "Yes, Lord," it echoes into forever. Your faithfulness here is shaping your future there. So don't give up. Don't hold back. Don't waste your gifts. Don't live small. You are being prepared for something greater than you can imagine. You are an eternal being, with an eternal purpose, headed for an eternal home. And when you get there, when you hear the voice of Jesus say, "Well done, good and faithful servant," you'll know it was all worth it. So live today with heaven in mind, because heaven is ready for you.